Hello everyone, I am back with my podcast voice, as Jenny calls it, and this is the latest episode of Pull the Pin with business, brand and banter, and today we are pulling the pin on the military, we hope. Now what can I say about our next guest? He's ex-Special Forces, well he's definitely special anyway. He's able to regulate his body temperature like a chameleon, more on that later. He could kill me with his middle toe, he thinks. He loves a pasty. It's only Staz from Thrudark.
What an intro.
What an intro. That's amazing, isn't it? I like the pasty bit, to be honest. Yeah. Speaking of which, I know you love a pasty, and the reason I know this is because I've been stalking you on socials, and I saw a sausage thread last week. You were talking about sausages, and you happened to say you love a pasty.
Yeah.
I was in Cornwall yesterday.
Well,
you know what Cornwall's famous for?
It is, mate. And also, oddly enough, I'm from Wigan.
Oh, there you go. There you go. We've eaten lunch, but have they now? Save that for later.
It's cold, mate.
I know you're doing the survival training and stuff like that, but if you get peckish, you just have that as a snack. Flown back from... I'll be honest, fuck all. Flown back from Cornwall. How impressive is that?
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
You are welcome. Oh, that's all I can smell now is pasties. Sorry, do you want to introduce yourself? We got sidetracked then.
Yeah, no, fucking hell, what an introduction. I don't think I'll top that, mate. You're definitely special. Yeah, Staz,
we noticed.
37 years old.
Hang on, sorry, you say Staz. Real name, Anthony Stazicker. Where did your nickname come from?
So, last surname, Stazicker. Pretty simple.
See what you did there.
Smudge. No, Staz. Born up in Lancashire, Wigan. Moved to Nottingham around about the age of 8. I did about sort of 10 years down there and then joined the military, which we'll cover in a bit, and then kind of moved around the country with various military bases and then kind of ended up down in Poole on the south coast in Dorset and spent the majority of my military career, or the best part of 10 years, sort of finished up within UK Special Forces and the SBS in particular.
Oh, Poole's an upgrade from Wigan, isn't it?
Bit,
no offence to Wigan.
Yeah, I don't think you ever go back the way, do you? You always tend to come down. Yeah.
So, Special Forces as well. Right, we shall come on to that. Actually, first thing I've got to do as well, before we start, I've got to do a temperature check with you. Not the old-fashioned, not the one you're thinking of, but...
It's a shame.
Just to give this some context, we met up a few weeks ago with some friends of ours at Be Military Fit. And you know what's coming. And we did a bit of shooting, and it got a bit out of hand, it got a bit competitive, as you do. And I don't want to exaggerate, but it was the hottest day of the UK, so it was like 50 degrees, whatever. And you were dressed for it, weren't you? Because you got all the gear on.
Yeah.
So you got like...
Repping,
repping Thrudark, which we'll come on to in a minute, but woolly hat, long sleeve T-shirt, jeans, woolly socks, big boots, gilet. I think the gilet was the thing.
Top tip.
It's like 50 degrees. We're outside.
Styled it out.
You did style it out well. Not a bead of sweat. Unbelievable. How you weren't dying inside. We thought you probably spent a bit too long in Afghan, but just because of that, I've got something else for you. There's loads of gifts. Loads of gifts here. Well, it didn't always be cold, so we've got you this, right? Now, it's called the Bear. It's called the Bear. We're not going to make you put it on, don't worry. Not yet.
But looks too big anyway.
It does. It's for like 5 to 9 year olds, so it will be far too big for you.
Yeah.
But so the Bear, you'll be able to give you some ideas for the next Thrudark range, but then you can have that near you as well. If you get nippy,
cheers, mate.
Then feel free. You can always tuck that on.
Keep
it nice and toasty.
Do you do them in black as well?
Yeah, we don't. We don't do black. Only idiots wear black. And then just to be on the safe side as well. There you go. That has got boiling water in it as well. So So if you get chilly at any point, we've got you covered. Right, I think that's probably all the shit I've got to give you now. I think I've got rid of everything. So take us back. So how did you end up in the military?
That's you out of jokes now, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much.
Got them all out of the way.
We've got a freestyle, and I'm like, did you mention that? Get the pasty, I've done the pasty.
Good.
Yeah, tick. Give us a hot water bottle. Yeah, tick.
Dad jokes.
Yeah, perfect. Right, so what made you join the military? Was it lack of options?
I think let's probably back it up. So I think sort of growing up, Wigan, quite an outdoor kind of area, lots of rugby, sport. I've never been particularly sort of academic. I enjoyed school. Enjoyed school, but probably for the wrong reasons. Looking back, I think for the right reasons. I think there's a lot of pressure nowadays put onto kids in terms of, academia and trying to excel. But I don't think school was, and I still don't think it's set up right, if that makes sense.
I think it's broken. We can do a whole podcast on this.
It's a fucking one shoe fits nobody sort of mould. And I think, kids that are, are a little bit different, or learn an aptitude slightly different. It just didn't suit me.
You say different, you mean short?
It's shorter, yeah. I think it's not really set up. Well, it wasn't set up for me in particular. The sporting element was great. The social element, fantastic. I wasn't badly behaved at school. I knew where the line was, generally speaking, and kind of fell in love with the sport side of stuff. So that was kind of the Wigan family still up there, and then around about I think 7, I want to say my parents split up. So that was where the relocation to Nottingham happened. So my father and that kind of side of the family remained in Wigan, and then I kind of cruised down to Nottingham there with my mum. She remarried, stepdad, kind of new environment. This was about 9 years old, I think, and then sort of sprung into kind of new school, new environment, new kids, and at the time just thinking, fuck, it's a difficult moment. You're just trying to kind of reintroduce into school and different environments, and just trying to fit in, I guess, really. And me and my brother, I've got an older brother, Andrew, about 2.5 years older. So yeah, kind of went through that process, and plenty of scrapping, stupid northern accent, didn't really fit in.
Nothing's changed there,
nothing's
really.
Nothing's fucking changed, mate, no. Fuck's sake. So yeah, kind of moving through school, I picked kind of football up quite late on, around about sort of 10. Started playing for a local-ish team. One of my friends introduced me, and I was fucking terrible. I went from rugby, turned up I remember the first day at kind of the school in Nottingham or in Mansfield, and there wasn't a rugby pitch in sight. It was all football. So it was like, shit, better kind of move. And again, you just want to fit in, adapt, and right, I'll join the football team. So started playing football, started off in goal. Big oversized gloves on like a buffoon. Didn't know the rules really, and I remember just thinking, it's all right. This, I'm kind of mixing in now, getting a new group of friends around football, which was great. And then I started kind of slowly moving away from the goal, outfield, starting in defence, up front, trying sort of midfield, and then back into kind of centre back. So that kind of lasted a few years then, and then up into that sort of transition into secondary school, and probably my first kind of big-ish sort of, I mean, my parents splitting up was a bit of a slap in the face, I think, looking back. It's kind of, look, everybody twists and turns, life's, full of that, isn't it? But I think that was the first one, kind of relocating, new friendship groups, moving. And then, my mum passed away when I was 11, quite suddenly as well. It was a brain hemorrhage. And I remember, fortunately at the time, me and my brother were up in Wigan with my old man, and kind of we're with him for the weekend. I remember that kind of phone call coming in and being woken up early, and this has happened, your mum's had an accident, so shoot back down to Nottingham. And I just remember sort of leaving on the Friday, everything's fine, smiles, hugs, and then coming back kind of Sunday or whenever it was, and
everything's changed.
Everything's fucking changed. My world just is imploded, and my mum's now in hospital, she's on a ventilator, life support machine, and it's not looking good. I think from that stage, it was just, what the fuck's happened here? Yeah. First major slap in the face. And I guess at about 11 years old, you're still trying to find your own feet. You kind of, not really, you're unsure of what's happening. And this kind of went on for maybe a few days, and the decision was made, and then turn the life support machine off. And I guess trying to then move back into we were just kind of moving into secondary school there. It sounds odd really, but I didn't like that feeling of eyeballs on me for the wrong reasons. I didn't want people's sympathy. I didn't like it. I felt quite angry. I felt sort of, I don't know really, a sense of injustice to me, and why is this fucking happening to me? And, I just want to fit in. I don't want this sort of baggage or negativity around what's happened there. So I guess kind of moving into secondary school, it was different. Again, starting at the bottom, snakes and ladders, isn't it? Start at the bottom again, reintegrating to school, new friendship groups. But football, I kind of then focused all my energy and my angst and my anger and everything into football. Mm-hmm. And I kind of picked it up quite relatively quickly, really, looking back. And within a few years, I was kind of, with a professional club at the time, training 2 to 3 times a week, playing every day. And it's probably safe to say as well, my grandparents then moved down so my mum's parents moved down into Mansfield, and we had a bit of a shit relationship with our stepdad at the time, quite volatile. So we moved in with them in a little bungalow, and and probably owe a huge amount of gratitude and debt to my grandparents, and in particular for kind of dropping their lives and kind of their focus then switching on to me and my brother. So yeah, we then kind of football's gearing up, playing for the school, for Nottinghamshire. And then professional team, everything's going well. And I don't remember back in the day, it used to be kind of that YTS, youth scholarship programs. And I was at Mansfield Town at the time, so it was probably back in the day, not that old, but sort of Division 3, what was old school Division 3. Yeah. And everything was looking great, sort of captaining, given the old nod, you're going to make it, you're going to be offered a YTS here. And at that time as well, I was kind of playing county, other bits and pieces, and started getting picked up for England schoolboys. So at this stage, everything's kind of moving in the right direction. I'm kind of, everything's great. So England schoolboys, I'm playing for them. I'm away quite a lot, playing, representing the country at this point, and kind of flying. Really, I was that kind of kid at school, like fucking Stazzy's playing for England, playing for professional, and kind of, I'll be honest, all my little eggs at that stage, fucking
in that one basket.
Yeah, fucking right. It's not to say I didn't completely sort of rap on the school and the academic side of things, but I certainly was kind of gearing everything towards that. And I think it was around that sort of stage that Mansfield Town went into liquidation. A lot of those oldest clubs at the time, I don't even remember, they went from a really dark period of a lot of clubs going into liquidation and not being able to fund YTS scholarships and schemes. They offered me a YTS, but an unpaid YTS, so kind of stay at the club, let us rebuild the kind of finances and we won't pay you, but you'll still, for all intents and purposes, be, have a professional contract in place. But at that stage, because I was kind of playing for England, I had a few other clubs now sniffing, and I ended up at Fulham. So I ended up sort of on a long sort of trial period with those guys, moving into a kind of a stately home down there. There's families down in these sort of areas that will take 2 or 3 of the YTS or scholarship kids in, which is funded by the club. So I was kind of down there, away. And at that stage, everything was going great. My training was probably the best it's ever been. Mm-hmm. Everything was kind of moving in the right direction, and I kind of slotted in really well into the team. I wasn't kind of stepping on anyone's toes. There was no right back. I was playing sort of right wing back at the time, and it was all going great. And I was thinking, fucking hell, I'm sort of reporting back to my granddad, who, fucking bless him, never missed a game in his life. Sort of took me to every training session. Looking back now, that sort of ultimate sort of sacrifice and that figure for me was unbelievable. So kind of reporting back like everything's going great. It's looking really good for me.
I feel there's a butt coming.
Here we go. And this isn't to say that necessarily I think that I would have been taken on at Fulham or that I could have been a professional. But what I am basically saying is I should have been on the pitch last night playing for England. No.
It's still too painful.
Yeah, it's too painful, too raw. I'm not saying that at all. There's a lot of things that can happen, but it was kind of end of the season, going back home. We had a bit of a leave period before we started pre-season again, and I used to love motocross up in Mansfield with my mates.
I just worked out in my head what's gone wrong there.
Yeah, so it was at that stage, I had a motocross bike in the garage and sort of went back. I was sort of had the chat as well from the guys at Fulham. Look, take it easy, no football, don't play in it for any other teams, just keep yourself fit and active, don't do anything stupid. And,
okay, that's the operative phrase. I get told all the time.
Yeah, hindsight.
Luckily I never do, so.
I went back and got coaxed into a track day with my friends, dusted the bike off, went out, and it's a simple little kind of rut corner, put my leg out and kind of popped my knee, dislocated my knee. At the time, it sort of locked up, and it was quite a nothing injury really, or felt like it. It just sort of popped and felt a bit weird, and trying to stand back up, put my foot back on the foot peg, it was like, fuck, something's not right here. I can't kind of lock my leg out, and cruise back into the paddock, pulled the bike up and
that's the one.
Back in, get back in there, and I'm thinking, I'm sort of, have you ever hurt yourself, you injure yourself and you go, you sort of
on a regular basis,
and you think,
I'm pathetic,
and you say to yourself
teeth,
in your mind, in your head, you're going, it's all right, I'm all right, it's all fucking good. And I had one of those moments, popped the bike on the stand and my leg's locked. I can't kind of straighten it and it's starting to swell and I'm having the panic. The little voices in my head are going, you fucked it. What are you doing? You idiot. Don't tell your granddad, don't say anything, just get back. And there's an element of that. So I kind of ended up kind of manipulating my knee back in, if that makes sense. It kind of, now it's obviously swollen up, but I can sort of straighten it and lock it out again. Obviously, the session's over, bike into the van.
This could be a good background for special forces training, where you're back in my head now, you've broken your leg, but you've kind of you've glued it back together.
I sawed my leg off.
Like a Monty Python sketch, I'll be all right.
Yeah, I've got another leg. I use the other leg.
That's why you've got two legs.
God saw fit to bless me with two legs. But so back in garage, I remember turning up my granddad and he can see me hobbling in and I'm more gutted, I think, for him.
Did he say I told you so?
Yeah, and he gave me the chat as well. But at this stage, I'm 16, 17, fucking, I know everything, and I've got this. Don't worry, and an element of youth really there looking back. But it is what it is. kind of wheel the bike in, and I'm playing it down like it's fine. I've just kind of banged it a bit, and it'll be cool. He's like, okay, get it in, and I then return back after a bit. I'm kind of now about 3 weeks from going back to the club, back to Fulham, and it's just giving me a bit of a nose. I'm kind of working through it, light runs, kind of icing it, and I'm thinking, fuck it, it doesn't feel right. But I go back straight into training a little bit, and I'm kind of got my foot off the gas a bit, and I'm kind of massaging it a little bit and kind of hiding, and they can sort of see that something up. And I go into the game, I play a game, which obviously you can't.
As you do.
There's no fucking hiding there, is there?
Yeah.
And I remember this first sort of 10, 15 minutes into a tackle and fucking crunch. And a 50-50 challenge, which ordinarily wouldn't be an issue, but my leg went again, and it sort of locked, and it's sort of dislocated out, or locking, whatever that means. And I just remember looking at the ground and fucking hitting the ground and thinking, this isn't right. They were good as gold. They get me up, sweep me off there. They rehab me. They look at it. I go off for surgery. I come back. They were good as gold. I had all the rehab. It's fine. Happens all the time. Meniscus, all this kind of stuff. We'll fix it up. Which they did, which was great. And then I had all the rehab. First came back again, it fucking went again. And I just remember at that state, I knew in my head, I was like, that's it. And I just remember looking at the guys and the people there and sort of shaking their head like, that's it. What do we do? Just keep, you're 16, 17 years old, just keep surgery. But I did. So I was moved away from Fulham, went back home and kind of enrolled at college. At that stage, it was like, fuck, what am I going to do now? And I was still playing for England, obviously England schoolboys before that and during. And oddly enough, I was offered a full paid for scholarship in America at the University of South Carolina. It's a really nice, prestigious, big university college over in America. So I got excited about that again. And
based on sport?
On football, yeah. Okay. So at one of the England games, a load of the American coaches sort of flew over, and it was just obviously it's a hotbed of talent at the England kind of camps at Lillishore, and they're watching a few games and they're just fucking throwing cards at all the guys. Like, if you're not going to be a professional, you're not involved with a club right now, here's a full scholarship to our university. And so I got excited about that. I met another lad in Hull that I was going to be sort of living with, picked the accommodation, got the flight sorted, speaking to the coach, pretty much weekly basis. How's everything going? Paperwork, filling all the visas, all this kind of paperwork out. And I think I was 2 weeks out from going, and I was like, I've got another opportunity here. I've got another kind of another light that I can kind of focus on, and that was my kind of vision and my drive. And
they were less strict back then in the States as well with getting in, because they weren't as bothered if you were short.
But and I got caught out in so much that I started filling the paperwork out, and the coach was away, and I was just rushing the paperwork through to make the season, to make it in time. He's like, there's going to get loads of paperwork, just fill it out, send it back. And it usually went directly to the coach. This one didn't. This came from the college, the league, and it was like questions. Have you ever been paid to play? Yes. Have you ever received royalties? Yes. You've ever had a professional company? Yes. Have you ever? Yes.
This doesn't sound good.
Yeah. Have you ever scored a goal?
You do. Yeah.
No.
when you go into the States, have you got a nuclear device?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go no with that one.
So you can tell where this is going. So I fucking fill this form out. Fucking off it goes. Send it off. And about a week later, the fucking coach rings me and he's, what have you done? You filled out this fucking amateur eligibility form, blah, 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 blah. You've ticked all these boxes.
You told the truth, basically.
Yeah.
Never do that.
Yeah, never tell the truth. I fucking learned the hard way. He was like, look, I'm super in here with the college. Like, we're church friends. You're like, I'll smooth this. Don't worry. It's still on. We're like super tight. Anyway, he rings me back a day later. Can't smooth it. What we have to do is put this on ice, wait 12 months. You can redo the forms. What they've said is they'll forget about the initial form. Probably shouldn't be saying this. And then, and then we can go again. So,
which university was it?
No, but it wasn't. It's the college league.
It's fine. Okay, yeah.
Technicality.
If they happen to hear it, this podcast has gone really well. So just every cloud.
It's global. So at that stage, I think I was, 18 maybe. Before it was probably 17, and I was like, what the fuck do I do here? And you want everything quickly. At that age, fucking
I think it's
next
worse
week.
now.
Yeah, next week seems like that.
Yeah, I think people have got this sense of instant gratification now, but maybe it was always there, but with social media, it's made it worse because it's made things a bit more attainable quickly.
But I was, a young kid. When you want it yesterday, and making moves and. So it was, okay, come back, that's a shitter. My nan and granddad's, again, I felt fucking terrible. They'd paid for the flight, money down the pan, and, felt terrible, and but look, dusted myself off. Right, what's my options now on the table? I can go and play semi-professional. Can bring in some fairly decent money every week, but I need to crack on with some form of education, or at least start looking into alternatives for employment. Really, what do I want to do? So at that stage, joined a college. Joined college, West Notts College, and I wanted to be I loved cars. So for me, I was like, right, a mechanic. I'll be a fucking mechanic. I was like, what are you thinking? I just loved motors and engines.
I love all
and
the jobs that you've had.
I find mental. So I went on a what do they call it? Work experience when you're a kid, and I went to probably one of the worst back road garages you could go to in and around Mansfield. This rough house.
Did you get an air hose put up your bum?
Yeah, we can't talk about that.
Oh, okay, yeah. That means yes. Yeah. Everyone had an air hose put up the bum and work experience back then.
So I went to this shitty garage, and I can remember the guy looking at me going, "You've done what? Playing football? You want to be a mechanic?" He was like, "You're a fucking mad kid." And I was like, "No, I love engines." Blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so I went to college.
Right, you want to mend Novas? Yeah. The exhaust system on a 1992 Nova, really?
Mad, mate, yeah. I didn't even like me getting my hands dirty. But he into college, and it was one of those open days where you go in, all the stalls are out. What do you want to do? Fucking mechanic, engineering. Walk straight over. They're like, "Yeah, brilliant. Here's the course. Tell me about your GCSE." He's like, "Huh? What? No. Yeah. But I wasn't bad. I had like an A in sports, obviously. Then it was like B language, and it just
sport progressively. Doesn't count, I don't think, at GCSE.
I think I went through every letter then through the fucking alphabet. But maths was.
Do you have CDT then? Was that design technology?
Yeah. Terrible at that as well. Still
RE,
yeah. But it was
G and RE.
What was it? Maths was the main one, D. And they're like, "Look, you need a C to come on for this." But all right, okay. What's my options? I'm going to go and redo maths. Fucking hell, brilliant, cool story. So looked across the fucking the hallway. There's just a load of fit chicks in the corner. What the fuck's going on over there?
What are they doing?
That's sports science section. That's
nice.
what I want to do. So off I go, and sort of looking around. What's all this? Sports science? Yes, it's a bit of me. Like sport. So off I went. Got whatever it was, I think it was 2 years at the time. BTEC National Diploma in Sports Science. All sport, no science. Started that. And then kind of, again, still playing the football. The knee's doing all right. Still not right, but I'm kind of picking it up and being rehabbed. It's fine. And then I get picked up for the British colleges football team. So the whole kind of British colleges, I get scouted for them, start playing for British colleges. I'm like, fuck it, we're back in again here. We're off again. Clubs are getting interested again, and fucking Lee's not playing up. And it never materialised after that. It just sort of fizzled. So going sort of very quickly through that college kind of fantastic time, playing football, I really enjoyed it. But nothing came at the end. It kind of fizzled. Nothing, no options. And I guess at that stage, it was, what am I going to do? Right. I kind of love fitness, love working out. I'll go and work in a gym. So then I enrolled.
Never do that.
Never do that.
So I did on work experience.
It's terrible. But I loved it. And I thought, well, this is what I'm interested in. I'll just do something that I'm interested in. So I did a personal trainer's qualification.
I never bother with that bit.
You're not bothered with that? No. I wish I hadn't.
No one ever asks to see it.
Yeah,
or a pilot's licence.
Yeah.
No one ever asks. They just assume. If you sat there, they just assume you've got one. Brilliant.
Pardon me. So yeah, we're cracking on at this stage, and it's like, right, I'm working in a gym. I passed the sort of stuff, and I'm in a local council-run gym.
Nice.
Which is fine. I'm working there with my mate. And
what year would this be now?
Fucking, I'm shit at maths, mate. I don't know.
It's not maths, it's just years.
It's 20 years ago.
20 years ago. Okay, yeah. So about 2000-ish, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm enjoying it, but it's kind of, I think I get a year into that, and I'm enjoying training. I'm using it. I'm basically using it for what it is. I'm training, and it's a facilitation for me to train. And at this stage, I started, I guess, getting into books a bit more. I think reading and stuff, which I'd never.
It sounded like you said books.
I know, mate. Yeah. I'd never been interested before, and but it was one dimensional. It was all military, and I was thinking, what interests me. I think I got given an Andy McNabb book, an SAS book. I never really heard about what the SAS was. I kind of knew about it, and I think it was Bravo 20, the first book I read. So I'm fucking reading this, and considering I've not read before, didn't have an interest in reading, it really intrigued me, and I was fucking flying through these books.
Sorry, I'm not making this up. We must have been separated at birth, because that was the first book I read.
Really?
We were both working in a gym at the same time.
Fucking hell, what happened?
Working in a gym then. Fuck knows, all going downhill from there.
What's your dad's name?
Yeah. No, the height doesn't work out. And I can't grow a beard, so we're definitely not related.
But yes, it was that, and then I started bouncing on to his fictional books as well, reading all this stuff, and And I guess getting a year into the gym, it's fine, but the fucking wind's out of my sails, and I'm thinking, well, what next? I kind of want something to kind of aim for, and you know, there's still stuff burning away there. I've still got the fire in my belly. I still want to kind of do stuff, and that's not to say I'm not kind of begrudging anybody that works in that industry or in that kind of in that way, really, if that makes sense. But for me, I've always had that thing inside me, that fucking drive, that what's next, fucking can't sit still. And I then started looking into military options. I read the books, it can't be that hard. You know, let's have a look at maybe joining the military, great options. So down to the Armed Forces Careers Centre in Nottingham, you know, what's the hardest military course you do? So it was, well, Marines or Paras, generally speaking.
32 weeks, is it?
So yeah, I mean, the Marines have got it might have changed by now, so don't quote me, but at the time, 32 weeks, it was certainly the longest sort of,
I think it probably still is.
Basic infantry training, but certainly not basic either. And for me, it was Marines or Paras. You know, they're obviously the top of the spear there in terms of infantry courses. So the guy at the time, I think, in the careers office was a Marine, the green beret on, big guy, and obviously he just fucking come to the dark side, sort of pulls me in, fuck the Paras, it's all about the Marines.
Plus you got shit knees.
Yeah, shit knees as well, yeah.
What you want to do, son, is parachute jumping, that will help.
Yeah, I love showering 20 times a day as well. But I think in hindsight, to be honest, I think the Paras probably would have suited me more, to be honest.
Yeah.
It probably would have suited me.
And then you'd have ended up at Hereford.
Well, no doubt. But I think, so anyway, you know, I went into the Marines, and at that stage, I felt like I had a new lease of life. I was just kind of finishing off, you know, the college stuff as well, and the gym, and I felt like I had a new focus now. I was like, fucking hell, this is it. This is now everything that I can. The Marines, I want to be a fucking Marine. I want the green beret, and that's it. I want the fucking belt. And I don't know whether it was an ego thing or whether I actually wanted to do the fucking job. I think it was and I think growing up in a different area as well, and we've all experienced different types and elements of bullying. It's not to say that I was bullied heavily as a kid. I think all kids fucking go through that, don't they? You know, you get picked on for whatever it is now, short, tall, short, you know, big nose, fucking glasses, fucking ginger, Chinese. I had a big nose,
glasses.
You know,
I had a big chin, glasses, and I looked like...
fucking had it all, yeah. You were just ticking the boxes.
Ticked every box. I was just under 11 stone at 6 feet, so I was really skinny.
I just felt, all the time.
I looked like Clark Kent, so I got hammered.
It is, mate. And I think it's just scrapping your way through that, different schools, and who's this northern lad, and lived next to a different school. It was just fucking shit all the time. So maybe there's an element of me wanting to prove to not just myself, but other people, external. It's like external validation again, probably.
Yeah. So, and I can see why you'd be a bootneck, because I know a lot of bootnecks. Yeah. And actually, although I can see in the Paras as well, but yeah, I can just see you doing well in the Marines.
Yeah. So I think from then
they style it out well as well. They do style it out well.
Yeah, mate. And it's so off I went. I was then kind of, my whole world was consumed now with the military and joining the Marines. And it's fair to say that I didn't have any outside influence at this time. So there was no family members at the time that were serving or had served. So there was no kind of element of join the fucking this or join that and, you know, go and speak to uncle, whatever. And so it's quite unique, really. I think it sort of took my sort of grandparents and other people by surprise, but they were super supportive. My granddad was really supportive as well. And sort of, I think they could see I was just a bit lost. I was kind of, you know, college a bit.
Looking for that bit of structure. And,
I was going out, fucking boozing, scrapping, just being an idiot, which I think everybody goes through that stage, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of trying to find your feet as a young kid. So off I went. I'm into the Marines. I do a potential Royal Marines course where you go down for maybe a week. Went down, loved it, got on really well with it, physical, enjoyed that kind of camaraderie. Reminded me of at Lympstone, it reminded me of the kind of football, that unity, being together, that kind of, you know, at the time didn't realise that kind of brotherhood, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought, fucking hell, this is quite good. It's quite good. Obviously passed the potential Royal Marines course. And then I had about a 4 to 6 months gap of waiting to join back in 2005 at age 21. So I went in with quite a good age, I'd say, a bit of experience on my side, good fitness, good base level of fitness from, you know, playing from a kind of a high level of football. And off I went on to 32 weeks of training in 897 Troop. And
did your knee hold up? I'm amazed that you...
Yeah, so I had a few issues. In a straight line, it was fine. What like load bearing, moving sort of forwards, up, that was fine. It was twisting, turning. So I I started the 32 weeks training and I finished the 32 weeks training. So I was an original. So at no point did I step off the train.
Is it Hunter far too much noise?
Hunter,
so isn't it?
I didn't step off the train at any time and get back trooped or be rehabbed or whatever, or fail anything. I was an original. I think you need an element of luck with that as well. But I think I had a few issues though. You know, you have different elements of training within the Marines where they build you up physically. You know, you imagine that it's kind of, they get everybody in, they get from people who are super fit, triathletes and older people who are probably a bit more robust to younger kids that are probably just been doing bicep curls and don't really understand about kind of that kind of elite style of fitness for the Marines. And so they start everybody off at the same...
Sorry, there are exercises apart from bicep curls?
Yeah, that's it, mate.
We'll talk after.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But,
especially it's fine in the squat rack. That's what squat rack.
I've seen your weights in there.
I know, yeah.
So yeah,
it really has. It's pathetic.
You start with something called IMF Swedish PT in the gym, and I was thinking, this is fucking a bit turbo gay. This, you got 1, 2, 3, doing all this stuff, but they get you from this kind of base level and then build everybody up together. So you kind of, it's really good how they do it. The physical training instructors and stuff. Obviously, they're well versed in it. They kind of know what they're doing. So we kind of went through this stage of the main element to begin with is in the gymnasium hall, the big hall where you're doing kind of weights and pull-ups, sit-ups, press-ups and camp circuits, running around the camp, getting fucking beasted, running around. And I was doing quite well in this. And I was one of the front runners in the troop. I actually ended up passing the getting badge. It's not getting badge, is it? But getting my belt and beret, passing out for the Royal Marines, and I was awarded the PT medal, the fittest guy in the troop. You know, I was really fucking doing well and finding my feet with that. So the fitness side of it, I'd nailed it. I was like, I'm really nailing this. But there was elements in the gym where the PTIs, they're like sharks. They're little vests on, fucking little shorts, and they're fucking, you're getting beasted from all angles. Fucking took your elbows in, get your knees up, fucking arm, and there's I always remember doing the sprints up and down, and sometimes my knee would go, so I'd be cruising it fast, and then all of a sudden my fucking knee would go, and I'd be shit, and I had like a technique of sort of squatting down and rolling my knee, and it'd go back in, and I'd be like, okay, I'm off again. And I always remember the PTIs coming up going, what the fuck?
Lethal Weapon keeps banging it, putting his shoulder back in against the fridge.
I think you get a PTI assigned to your troop. He's your PTI, and it's Tony Buick, amazing bloke, well versed, well schooled, and I think he knew something, but he really
smelled a rash. He screwed the nut. Your leg had gone from a different angle.
He screwed the nut for me, and he was kind of end of the session like, "What the fuck's going on with your knee? Everything all right?" I was like, "Look, I'm all right." So every so often it'll just plays up a bit, and he was like, right, okay. And he wasn't going to say anything. He wasn't going to make me go into the med centre and all this, because it would have been probably shenanigans if I would have had to. They probably would have MRI'd it and I would
problem as well, shenanigans then. It starts off as shenanigans. Next thing, it's a hullabaloo.
Yes, yeah. And it's been a Ben-Hur, mate.
Yeah. Then it's a kerfuffle.
Kind of go through that stage, and then we move. There's elements of that training. It's kind of in blocks, if you will, and so now we're getting towards the end of training, and you're getting your stable belt, you're getting your cap comforter, and then it culminates obviously in the commando test at the end, but there's kind of soldiering element of it I wasn't sure about. I was thinking, am I going to fucking enjoy this, and screaming and shouting? But it's a different culture in the Marines.
Yeah, you've got to kill people at the end of it as well.
Yeah,
that's a whole different,
it is. There's that, isn't there? There's that mindset, but I think, and there's an element of training you for that, but you can't really prepare for that. But the Marines, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the running around in the dirt, the mud, the fucking cam cream, with being with your mates, having a fucking laugh. It was a big boys fucking holiday, really.
I've never heard him say it before. I love the cam cream.
Yeah, I loved all that shit. I just loved all that soldiering element.
Not we could use explosives, but we got cam cream.
Yeah, so it was good. So obviously passed out, green beret, belt and berry, and I remember that moment of being at the end of the 30 miler, the last test, giving you your belt and berry by the CO, and super proud moment and a sense of achievement, and wow, this is fucking great. And again, I keep saying it's snakes and ladders in life, and you're at the top, you cruise to the top, just about to hit the 100, and you then move off to your respective commando unit. I went to 40 Commando Bravo Company in 2006, and fucking back down the fucking snake, right back to the bottom again. Sprog, new bloke, right, fucking shut up, fucking pick that up, blah, blah, blah. Oh shit, what's going on here? Again, steep learning curve, you're in, a new environment, you're picking things up quickly.
Did you get deployed overseas? Because that was
I went to Afghan, I don't know what Herrick it was, 5 or 6, actually with a different company. It wasn't for that long, maybe 3 months, but it was in Kabul.
What was that like?
It was obviously my first tour, my first kind of exposure to...
Exciting.
Yeah, it was. It was nerves, excitement. It was... I think when you train as in the Marines and as a commando, and you have all this kind of, thoughts in your head and probably misconceptions and thoughts about what it will be like to operate and go out and be amongst it, and that's what you want to do. There's something strange about... I think there's psychologists and John Peets and other people talk about this, don't they? About that inner drive that's it's inbuilt, it's imprinted into your brain for men to go out to want to hunt and to I don't know what it is, and I think the quote about there's no feeling like the hunting of man, and once you've hunted other armed men, you'll never sort of have another feeling like that in the world. And I think it's true. There's such a strange feeling of excitement. I know
exactly what you mean, because sometimes we have a Nerf gun fight.
That moment.
I think it's exactly the same.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you get that.
It's just you know, if you get hit in the face with a Nerf gun, it's serious.
That first tour wasn't too kinetic. It was, rotating through different elements, but it certainly wasn't super kinetic like the guys were in Helmand, like really scrapping. It wasn't really like that.
They were a hard couple of years there as well. There was a lot going on there.
And I didn't get that side of it. It was all in Kabul. A few things, incidents and IEDs and other stuff, and a bit of small arms, but nothing kind of nothing heavy. Came back from that, and then this is the shit bit about the Marines. You do a couple of years as a Marine, and that's all you want to do. You want to be a knuckle dragger. You want to be a commando. Give me the big guns, and that's what you want to do. Machine gun, go out and fight and scrap, and they're like that. And then slow down, speed racer. You need to pick, and this is why it's one of the benefits of being in the Marines. They're sort of self-contained. They can deploy anywhere because they have their own chefs, their own fucking drivers, their own radio operators.
Use the word chef in the loosest possible term.
Yeah, not Casey Ryback either. It's not it's a lowly cook.
They cook stuff.
Yeah, so you kind of end up having to select what your speciality will be, and you can pick some cool stuff as well. There's a sniper and there's heavy weapons,
clothing design.
Clothing, yeah. Maybe we'll come on to
that. Come to that.
But so at that time, they're like, look, you've reached this kind of 2-year point. What do you want to do? I said, I want to be a fucking... You can risk it for a biscuit. You can keep your name in the hat, and it could get drawn Clark. Fucking Clark. I don't want to be a fucking Clark. Look at me. Or you can leave...
They're not going to put you as a Clark, are they?
Well, they
could have been a mechanic.
Exactly, mate. Oh yeah, VMs. They are vehicle mechanics. There's all sorts of stuff in the fucking ping hat, and but you can risk it. You can think, do you know what? I will. I'm going to risk it for a biscuit. I'm going to stay as a GD, general duties, sort of rifleman, commando. And some guys get away with it for their careers, sort of 7 or 8 year like general duty guys. Or you can sort of make a decision early and say, right, I want to be fill in the blank, whatever it is. I opted to go up to Faz Lane, Fleet Protection Group, Royal Marines up in the West Coast, just north of Glasgow, where all the nuclear deterrent is, the submarines, the UK nuclear deterrent. And that was an eye-opener for me. It was a different kind of unit, guarding subs. It was not very exciting. Not what I joined up for.
It doesn't sound that exciting, guarding submarines. No, they probably don't go anywhere, do they?
Well, exactly, and you're constantly doing rollouts.
No one steals one, do they?
Oh, fuck it, no. You say that, yeah, but there's... so that was... Sorry.
No, carry on.
Oh, it's delicious.
It's nice, that. Have you got a cherry bomb? Oh, good call.
Who's this? That's Grenade.
Yeah, it is. Of course it's Grenade.
So, I'm in Fleet Protection. I'm not really enjoying it. I'm kind of, again... I feel like I need to do something else. Right, what do I want to do? And at this stage, I'd kind of was finding out more about Special Forces. And my first introduction to UKSF was when I was back in Afghan. I was on the gate, fucking duty, lifting the barriers for people. And this fucking soft-skin vehicle rolled up, a 4x4, and just cool dudes in there. Jeans, fucking flannel shirts, little rigs on, caps, glasses, long hair, beards, fucking rock stars. I was like, who the fuck are those guys? No, it's like SBS guys. And, at that stage, I think a seed was planted, and I was like, that looks cool as fuck. Rock stars.
And I can see why with you now, because knowing you pretty well, you want to do it really, really, really well to the best of your ability, or just not do it. Yeah. Kind of all in or all out. I get
that's
that.
It. And then, so when I went to Fleet Protection, I was kind of... Again, the wind was out of my sails, and I was like, well, and some lads were content with it, and I couldn't work it out. I was thinking, why are they fucking happy to do this rotation up here?
Some people just
fucking mind-numbing. And, they're just dodging other stuff. And at this stage, I was like, right, I might start looking into this sort of the Special Forces thing. And I've only been in a few, 2 years at this point. So I started looking at courses that I could do that would potentially set me up for success
'Cause do you
for
need
selection.
5 years experience, military experience
It
to do
used
this
to
selection.
be. So
You've got 2 at this point.
by old money, you used to have a set amount of time. You're right. It was either 3 years or 5 years, minimum of 2 tours, and also your CO or whoever had to give you the fucking you can go on. You're a good lad. It changed in that, and the reshaping of the whole SF world had changed. So you could essentially volunteer yourself to go on to selection, which has its own risks, but also I think it's a good thing. It kind of opens up potentially pools that guys that may have think that they're too kind of young or inexperienced, but actually do really well. So it's kind of double-edged, really. But so
volunteer as opposed to being voluntold.
Voluntold is the usual military scenario, isn't it? Yeah. Great. So I put myself in for arguably probably one of the hardest infantry courses that you can do in the Marines, and it was the sniper course. And you can only go on to a sniper course if you're, I think it's a lance corporal or below. So corporals sometimes, depending on what your job role is, because the failure rate's so high and they don't want to be embarrassed. You don't want to be a corporal leading men, go on the sniper course and potentially fail. It's got a high attrition, I think 60-70% failure rate. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but it's a pretty nails course within the Marines to do, and it's highly regarded.
I'm halfway there. I've got the scopes. You've seen the scopes.
I've seen it, yeah. But I've seen you shoot.
You have seen me shoot, yeah. But embarrassingly, your 9-year-old outshot the pair of us.
I know, mate. I know. It's awkward. So yeah, I thought, well, I'm going to test myself here on the sniper course. You know, I'm a lance corporal at this stage or whatever it was. I'm kind of 2 years in, and I want this to kind of be a prerequisite potentially for selection. So I got on the sniper course. I'm back to Lympstone now, where all the courses are ran. And I think this sniper got maybe 12, 13 weeks or whatever it is, and I fucking loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Is that Frank Fletcher?
And you turn, flank, but you turn into a super kit pest at this stage. You know, you're dressing your weapon sniper tape or your kit equipment. You know, you become a bit of a pest, essentially a sniper pest. But I loved it. And you kind of look a little bit different now from the rest of the guys. You've got all your sniper stuff, your ghillie suits, your trousers, everything's different. So you have an element of feeling pretty cool.
You could use the bear for that. So if you stick some leaves on that,
I could,
there's your ghillie suit.
Because I'm ninja. I could get away with that. But, you know, you have all this time and you
blend in.
Yeah, blending in. You know, it's sore thumb. But so I'm going through this course and I'm really enjoying it. I'm shooting well, everything's going well. I'm passing all this stuff and love the stalking element. So, you know, kind of cruise apart from the gorse bushes. Yeah, sneaking up around everywhere and dragging your rifle, getting into fucking bushes, cutting in, getting you know, it's, as a lad, as a young lad, it's fucking exciting. And you think fucking, and then you see yourself doing it like operationally while you're doing it. Everything's geared around operations and, you know, there's a real world element to what you're doing. It's not just just fuck around and go and do a bit of a stalk. It's like if you get fucking pinged here, you know, it's not just you, it's other people, you know. So there's a big emphasis on it, and sniping is a real unique, niche skill set. I think you've got to be a certain way as well with your mindset and who you are as a person. And what it does, it makes you become...
You've got to be sneaky as well.
Yeah, it makes you become super efficient on your kit, equipment. Everything is fucking squared away. Everything's perfect. So I kind of passed the course at that. And I remember at the end of that course, the chief instructor, I didn't really get on with him. I don't want to name him. Didn't really get on with him. He's a bit of a dick. There's another lad as well that was actually, he's badged at the moment, but he was on the instructor's course and he was just sort of marking time before he went on selection. And he was a fucking dick. He was an idiot, you know, just an arrogant, sort of brash individual. Again, he's kind of maybe a lot more senior, maybe 5 or 6 years in the Marines. I'm 2 years. It's sprog routine. And I remember fucking...
Wasn't James, was it?
A little story, mate. We were on a stalk and sort of crawling into my sort of final fire position. And obviously you've got clipped onto, you've got a fucking, a bit of rope that's carrying your drag bag. It's got your sniper rifle in. And I'm fucking snurgling through the fucking bushes and I'm in a little gully. You know what I mean? I'm using it for cover and I'm fucking leopard crawling into position. You know, the fucking bloke stood in front of me and took a piss in front of me, knowing I'd have to crawl through his fucking piss. And I just thought, what a fucking dick. Who does that? You know what I mean? But for me, it was like, I thought we were on the same team here. You know what I mean? I thought, I don't get it. So I give him the old
really
look.
unusual, I think, in the military.
And I'll spin it how it comes round in a bit, but calm as a motherfucker. But I fucking scroll through that, whatever. I'm like, fucking dickhead. But you can't really say that because they're the instructors. And you fucking, yeah, funny that, nice one. Scroll through the boys, get into position. Anyway, pass the course, chief instructor. Where do you want to go? You've been offered a sniper billet within the commando units. They've got recce troops. It's quite a prestigious thing to be within a recce troop, you know, within the commando units, and to be within a sniper billet. I remember looking at him saying, I'm going to go on selection. I'm going to go and try out for the SBS. And he just fucking dropped the pen, fucking head comes up, and he's kind of laughed at me. Seriously laughed at me. He was like, fucking good luck with that, kid. You know, 2 years in. Like, seriously, where do you want to go? And I was like, I'm going on selection. I've kind of used this to see if I've, you know, as a stepping stone. And he was just fucking laughed me out of the room. And I was like, what a dick. What's going on here? I thought, and again, are we on the same team here? What the fuck's going on?
And would it have to be SBS and not SAS? Was it always going to be FBS because of where you'd come from with the Marines?
Not necessarily. I think so, yeah. I think it's probably a natural feeder into the SBS, mainly because I think 60% or whatever make up UKSF anyway from the Marines. But, you know, generally speaking, guys from the Marines will gravitate towards the SBS. And then you know people within the units. You then start knowing guys that have passed selection, and there's that kind of...
I think it's fantastic that the MOD have come up with a unit for all the lads...
that couldn't get in.
That basically weren't good enough to get in the SAS.
Yeah, I know, mate. Yeah, it's nice of them, wasn't it?
It was nice.
Fucking nice of them, mate.
Bastards.
Okay, no, don't let the truth get in the way.
I'd written that down. I thought, get that. Yeah, so that's another joke down.
Where the fuck am I? Right.
Yeah, you're about to do a SBS selection.
So that's it. So I kind of move away from that, thinking, what a fucking day. Anyway, right. But I think it gives me it spurs me on a bit, and gives me I'll fucking show you. Right, what's this fucking space? And then anyway, I was going to take a bit longer.
Powerful that is, isn't it? It's really, because you could got in anyway. But that's just another little thing to have.
But things happen like that.
I used to do that
into my brain.
Every time someone says, "Oh, you'll never make that one. Oh, you'll never do that. What you want to do? What? You'll never do that." Yeah, another one. So a list of people to prove wrong.
I fucking love it. But it's so I went back to fleet protection for a bit, and then I started thinking, well, I'll give it a year. I need a year here to train. I don't know where I pulled that fucking number from, but I was probably putting it off. But unbeknown to me, one of my mates put us both onto a briefing course. So we come in one day and he's kind of like, we're on a briefing course next week. We're like, just coffee everywhere. What? I've not trained. I start panicking. What do we need to do? And
my name.
The next week's fucking big heavy loads. We're running around the hills in Scotland, and we load onto a briefing course, and that's a prerequisite course to see if you're kind of fit enough, robust enough. And they have certain set marches in place down in Poole over the Jurassic Coast, which is pretty disgusting. And basic, like, sort of commando fitness tests and stuff that you have to pass within the set times. And it's kind of like, if you can't make that, then there's no point in you going on fucking selection.
Yeah.
So it allows them to have a little look at you, and you to have a little look at that, you know, both ways.
And the SBS selection is a different selection process to the SS selections.
No, the briefing courses are separate.
Okay.
Because, you know, before you start selection, you fill up fucking paperwork and you say, look, it's all under the same umbrella. It's all UK Special Forces. Yeah. And it's all the same sort of selection process. So it's and the DS are mixed. So you have a mixture of SBS, SAS, DS, and some SRR at the time. So you just kind of before selection say, look, I want to go for the SBS here. That's kind of my preference. And you can change as well. You can sort of get to the end and go, do you know what? Actually, I really like the fucking. And if they'll accept you, it has happened before. Yeah. You've also had lads that have joined the SBS and then gone, had a year, I want to go to the SAS for maybe family reasons or whatever, and also the other way. So yeah, we start the briefing course. But
whether or not you can grow a beard.
I know,
grow a proper beard.
I couldn't at the time. It was fucking terrible.
Grow a beard.
Was SBS. It Team America? Gary had the fucking stairs. It was terrible. So yeah, I'm on the next thing. It's briefing course, running around, absolute snotty mess of a week. Don't understand what's happened. Pass and then get loaded onto selection. But now I've got about 4 to 5 months before I start summer hills in 2008.
And were you pleased it was summer? Would you rather have had summer or winter? Don't mind.
Swings and roundabouts. Yeah. It's at the time I like the cold. I fucking, people that know me, I fucking hate being hot. I don't mind sweating when I'm working out or when I'm doing something, but if I'm just sat here or I'm watching telly or in bed, it just irritates the shit out of me. I get all back. So I didn't really mind, and it's Wales as well, so you can have all fucking 4 seasons in one day. So, you know, but we turned up on the summer hills, and it was the hottest on record for, I don't know, you know, since the dawn of time.
Since the last one.
Since fucking dinosaurs were on it, probably since the last one, like I say. And I remember it was fucking turbo, like hot. And
in Wales,
I know, mate. I know.
Dumb
And
figures.
that has its own issues. It has its own problems in so much that the weights are set and it's progressively kind of moved through for the hills phase. And it's called low zones. The first few weeks, you have to show them that you can navigate, blah blah blah, and you're in little teams and you take legs, and then you keep increasing the weight and your Bergen sort of, and then you're making the time. And then the kind of second, third week, you're on your own running around. It's set routes. Everyone's going. Some people are going clockwise, some are anti-clockwise. And start of our selection, we had about 204 people starting. That's everybody, the whole for SAS and SBS. And I think the hardest thing that I found personally was the monotony of it. You have a month of the hills and it's fucking Groundhog Day, and it's a very physically demanding sort of 4 weeks. Don't get me wrong, it's fucking hard work, and it's you have to be super robust as well, and again an element of lady luck, injuries. Nick, there's not anybody that goes on there certainly that I know, that doesn't pick up some form of an injury.
Burn and all sorts of stuff.
Whether it's just horrendous sort of Bergen burns, blisters, rolled ankles, knees, fucking twisted socks, everything. You kind of get that. But so the heat added its own kind of stress as well. You then have to carry more water. You're fucking sweating. You're overheating.
And when you're hot, it's harder to do something about it. I think if it's cold, it's probably sometimes easier to warm up.
Yeah, put a nice warm Thrudark jacket on, but not a chance in the military.
They'll have a take off.
Nice plug.
Yeah.
But
good luck with that.
So we had, in fact, unfortunately, we had a lad pass away on our course as well. Which was, again, I know this has happened previously since, but
I remember
purely
this.
because I don't mention his name, but he'd done the hills before as well, and he was actually an SFC, a communicator from Poole, and super fit lads, and we had lots of people creaming in with heat exhaustion, and so it was difficult for different reasons. Also, the ground's more boggier then as well, and it's fucking weird. You think it'd all be dry, but in the marshlands, it just makes it horrendous. It's fucking anyway. And then flip it forward 6 months. The lads that did the winter one were kind of waist deep snow. So fucking pick your beast really. Every house has got spiders, but so past the kind of hills phase, and I don't know how really. I've got again no preconceptions. I don't know anything about selection. Again, I don't know anyone. There's people that go on selection that have been on selection before, and they, you come across these people in life, they've fucking done it all before, and the 11 a reef guys, and you don't want to do that, or your Bergen's wrong, fucking don't tie your laces like that, that's fucking wrong. I've done this before. Well, you fucking failed, didn't you? But anyway, I'll listen to you, I'll entertain you. There's a lot of that around selection, and a lot of mystery, a lot of...
And you get 2 goes, don't you, I think? And that's
I think I'm not sure if it's the same anymore, but certainly 2 goes, unless it was a medical, unless the doctor pulls you off because your fucking legs around the other, you've cracked a Conor McGregor.
That's the doctor withdrawing you, not the doctor pulling you off.
Yeah, so it's a medical. What would be, pulling you off. Yeah. That never happened.
Can
But,
see what you enjoyed it.
So it was, that's a medical withdrawal. But I think apart from that, you can have two attempts, depending on how you
get pulled off.
Your attitude and how you kind of respond as well. And if you pull, sort of voluntary voluntary withdrawal yourself as well. And I think the main emphasis on the hills for me was that sense of being on your own, being self-motivated, which I loved. I love the facts, and I've heard, I'm not the first person to say this, and I'm not going to coin it as my own, but there was the element of running through the hills, especially towards the end on test week. It culminates in the end with test week, and running past people. That's a real equaliser as well. You have people that are fucking on paper or visually looking at somebody. We all do it. We're all guilty of looking somebody up and down like fucking the size of his fucking quads, and they're tall, they're massive. The paras there's Marines, and they're fucking units. Man mountains.
They struggle there, don't they? As well. That's a
disadvantage. They were struggling, and they probably looked at me, the little guy, and we're all carrying the same fucking weight, but it equalises, and running through the hills, I say enjoyed it. I did, I enjoyed the element of, running around and the freedom, the autonomy, and it wasn't like the conventional military. And also you don't have the pressure. The pressure's all on you, and at any stage you can go, do you know what? I don't want this, I don't fancy it. And the fucking excuse matrix comes out with some people, like this has happened, my fucking nan's cat's fucking passed away, I'm going to have to go back. Hamster's fucking funeral, I've got to go back for what, fucking some right excuses come out. But I didn't have that.
You've got to really, really, really want to do it, haven't you?
So that's the thing.
If you don't really want to do it,
your vision, your why. Everyone talks about why. It's got to be bigger than that reason to want to quit. And for me, it was. I didn't want to go back to the Marines. I didn't want to go back to to that fleet protection thing.
Yeah.
I was like, fucking hell. And
that is boredom.
Yeah.
That really is
boredom.
boredom.
And if I do, what am I going to do? And I don't want to see out the rest of my career doing that. So for me, it was shit or bust, really. Just give it the best sort of effort. So cruise through the hills, got the golden ticket, basically past the hills, golden ticket for the jungle.
And how was that? Because I've heard people say that's nails.
Yeah, I think
the hardest. A lot of people have said to me that's the hardest part in terms of like almost feeling claustrophobic. And I think someone said to me once they spent about 6 weeks there, and after that it just clicked and they embraced it, and it just clicked. But otherwise it just felt like everyone was trying to kill them, and it's claustrophobic and you're wet all the time and you're miserable.
Within my short time in the Marines, I think I squeezed in 2 jungle tours. Okay. One to Sierra Leone with 40, and then one to Belize, I think, with Fleet Protection. So I'd had a bit of time or an introduction into jungle and living and operating within the jungle, and it's disgusting. It's horrible. And different jungles are, unique as well in terms of flora and fauna, and secondary and primary and dirty jungle, clean jungle. They really do vary depending on geographically where they are. But I had an element of it, and I think because of the sniper course and everything else, I was quite squared away. I was my shit was in one sock. I could look after myself and my my kit and equipment, and you become quite well versed in that, and that sets you up for success for the jungle, because you're heavily reliant on yourself and looking after yourself as well. And that's not to say I found it easy. I didn't.
And how long's that?
Fucking nails. It's 5 weeks, if I remember, or 6 weeks. You fly out the first week's acclimatization, which is goosings up and down the beach. It's fucking beastings every morning. It's getting acclimatized, and a lot of time on the ranges, again out in the heat, doing man down drills, talking through their drills. You're learning as well, again, steep learning curve. You're working within small sort of fire teams, small groups, and you're just getting beasted again under the watchful eye of all the DS. Safety is the main thing there, because generally speaking, in the Green Army or the Marines, and not to bore you too much, but there's different arcs of fire. When you're on a range, you put your fucking thumb out on somebody, and it's quite a wide arc, i.e. if another soldier encroaches, it's stop, fucking safety, just everything's super safe. It has to be. Mm-hmm. But within special forces, it's fucking that. And you can literally shoot next to each other, and it gets a bit hairy, especially in the jungle, where sometimes you can become disorientated. You have to continually understand where you are, where everybody else is, and it's tight. Everything's 110% aggression and speed and movement, but it has to be done safely. Obviously, you have to show that you are safe and you understand fully where everybody is, and also kind of how to operate weapon systems and everything else, whilst also listening into the commands. And so this is continually going on, and there's navigation, but it's obviously micro navigation within the jungle. You move, everything's done really slowly. Tactically, you're in a 4-man patrol, you have 1 DS assigned to you, who's just kind of always off, always watching you, and within your patrol you're kind of switching kit and equipment, and it's hard. It's fucking super kind of laborious as well. The big heavy kind of Bergens, but you're moving slowly, everything kind of foot placement, everything's kind of really
I can see why you'd struggle with that boredom as well, because of how you are and you're 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And I've heard, and again, you're sort of almost sitting there doing something slowly. And I can see why you'd really find that difficult.
And there's a lot of time as well. So the days, generally, if you're micro-navving or you're doing other stuff, or you're moving from point A to point B, and doing your comm scads, and you're generally just showing the DS that you're proficient and you understand the drills and how to do all the stuff that they're teaching you as well. And then you go and do the ranges for half a day, get absolutely beasted up and down the ranges, and then you'd kind of move off to a lie-up position at night. The good thing about the jungle is there's about 10 to 12 hours of darkness. You don't move in the dark in the jungle because it's fucking bone. So generally speaking, you move in, set up your basher site. You'd get your hammocks out. Again, you'd sort of set all this up just as the light's going down. You'd all then kind of move into your position, lie down on the jungle floor, wait for the light to drop. Fully darkness now. It's fucking pitch black, and then you'd kind of move back to your location.
Fully dark could make a good name for a clothing company.
Fully dark.
Yeah.
There's something in that.
Something in that, yeah.
So you're back on, and then you're into like your admin. Then you're moving, you're sorting all your kit out, and you're fucking all fingers and thumbs trying to sort your shit out. And then you're into your hammock, and then but you know that you've got about, once you've eaten and sorted your shit out and sorted your. This is where you have to be quite diligent with yourself and your body, and sorting your feet out, retaping, powdering, drying, putting into your dry, making sure everything's sorted for yourself. Drinking lots, eating. Some people are just that fucking knackered. There's just sometimes an element of just get in your hammock and just fall asleep. All you want to do is sleep. But again, just doing that over and over and over again, and doing the same thing. And it's probably because I'm solid, probably because I'm bone. I don't mind that monotony. It's like training. I don't mind that. But then same thing. So fast forward 9 hours, you've had hopefully a semi-decent sleep. You get up before first light, and it's a reset. Take everything down, all your shit, back out to your Bergen, back out to your arc of fire, and then you're waiting for the sun to come up. The DS are probably around somewhere, and it's funny stuff in the night as well. There's fucking all sorts of shenanigans going on. There's monkeys. You hear lads like screaming. Fucking, you've got big parangs on you. The old fucking
they're nice. Yeah.
You've always got one of them on you as well for safety, and obviously your weapons kind of close by, and your
in case you get attacked by what, a monkey or
and there's wild boars in there, so you always have a
Please
live.
tell me you fought a wild boar,
mate. Yeah, with my bare hands, but you have a live a live magazine with you anyway, just in case there's any shenanigans. But you hear lads screaming at night. You think, what the fuck's going on over there? And it's like monkeys are coming down, and at night, imagine it, you can't see anything. Fucking fine. There's fucking blades going everywhere. Fucking people are falling out, and there's a real risk as well of deadfall. Of trees. That's the main killer in the jungle, is deadfall of trees falling, and there's always. Wake up in the morning and it's like, it's in between lads' hammocks, and you're like, fucking hell. So there's all this sort of stuff going on, and then in the morning you wake up and fucking light's just coming up, and you're in your position feeling all fucking Gucci. I've got my cam cream on, I'm looking all...
it's all about the cam cream.
I'm looking ace, and then with your little floppy hat on, and then all you see is the floor's moving generally. It's never good. And there's the old leeches are coming in, and fuck off, and they're all and you can't move, you know what I mean? It's like, and you're like, you can't just screw the fucking nut, and they're just cruising up your, and but we've had some comedy ones before where
they're attracted by cam cream.
I know, mate, but it's, and we've had some comedy ones before in the morning where you wake up and you've done all your stuff and you think, I've made it, I'm safe. I'm all in one piece, get your Bergens on, you move off to a position to meet the DS before moving off for the day, and do the old fucking... have a look at everybody. It's just it's now just getting properly light, if you will, and you're, mate, what the what is that on you? I was like, what? And it's just fucking leeches hanging off.
Get you just had to burn them off?
Yeah, or mozzie repellent. If you just touch the repellent on, they'll fall off. I used to just eat them, obviously, some nails.
I live in Stratford.
Get it off me.
I'm not sure that's a useful tip for me living in Dorset.
And it's that stuff then. You're in the jungle. I enjoyed the jungle for the soldiering element. I loved the shooting, the live shoot. It was brilliant, but it's physically probably the hardest thing I've done. Fucking drains, literally sucks the life out of you. So we got to the end of the jungle phase, past all that, fantastic, and then you're into probably the best kept secret and the biggest kick in the tits for me was the SEER, the escape and evasion. So
I've heard this horrible as well, but it's all horrible, isn't it? Really?
And you lose about.
Tell us about that.
I've not got fucking 3 stone wet through, and I don't have that much weight to lose, but I think I lost about 10 kilogram in the jungle. That's generally speaking about the average of weight loss. Great weight loss program, by the way, which the military run. I think you have a week back on camp to fucking let your body just de-rot and sort itself out, because you imagine your body's really run down at this stage, and you've lost weight, so it's just all about food and going to the med centre if you've got issues and dramas, because anything out there, little cuts are just, it's a nose, it's drama. And so you're back in for a week, and again, you're not just loafing, you're learning new skills, bits and pieces and radio stuff, and you're getting your instruction there for escape and evasion. And you have a small introduction to it and techniques that they use and that we get taught and kind of what we go through and the processes, and then you have a little 12-hour exposure to it to sort of give you an instruction really and feedback, so you can have a little 12-hour exposure and that was shit, don't do that, what the fuck are you thinking. So we had that week there, build up, and then next thing you're on the run. You go on the run for 5 days, literally just in your belt kit. I think you've got a 24-hour ration pack to last you 5 days and nights. And you've got a hunter force, you've got a corridor to move through. You're on the map. You don't no further left or right than this. In terms of your northings lines. But you got to get from point A to point B. There's an agent meeting for you. Usual sketch. Fucking away you go, and you're off. You're on the run. And you've got a hunter force following you as well. So they generally know your corridor, where you're moving through, and they want nothing better I want nothing more, to do than to catch the lads, because it's generally some Marines or paras, and they're like, we fucking want to bag ourselves a couple of these lads who think they're nails on selection, and they got dogs and helicopters, and generally speaking, you'll lie up in the day and you'll move at night, use the cover of darkness and stuff, and that was a fucking kick in the tits for me, massively, because I didn't underestimate it, I just didn't know about it, and moving that much distance at night in Wales, it fucking pissed it down every night. It was miserable, it was fucking freezing. I remember trying to get a little through farms and stuff. You generally stay away from like the towns and buildings, but outlying buildings you'd probably have a little rummage around, and bins and pulling turnips out of the ground and onion bags. I remember I fucking thought I'd won the lottery. I got this little bag. It didn't even go up to my fucking waist. You imagine? So probably a potato bag. I remember trying to sit in it like in a wood block, using it as a thing. I was like, do I put my legs in it, or do I cut a hole and use it on my? I just put my legs in it and fucking. And you're just spooning each other and just, it's fucking miserable, pretty miserable. And you do that for 5 days. We're moving through the corridor. We had a couple of instances of almost being caught, and fucking, you got to the Mexican standoff with these guys. Oh, fucking, no, you fucking run off again, and everyone breaks. And then got to the end of that 5 days, and I'm starving. Probably, fuck me, 5 days of no food, or 4 days when it is, because duty knob had just ate my 24-hour ration back in the first day. Oh, fuck. Didn't ration it. And then I thought I'll find some stuff when I'm out there, you know what I mean? I'm a forager. Have you tried to chase a sheep before? It's fucking nails. We had a butcher with us as well, an ex-butcher in our patrol, and he was like, don't worry, boys, we'll just catch your fucking sheep. I was like, fucking nails. We're all fucking running around. And, anyway, didn't catch the sheep.
Everyone else is starving and you've eaten a sheep.
Oh, mate,
sheep in
mate, I would have ate him whole. Feet first.
Just
I would have
carried
eaten
it
that
around
sheep,
with you.
mate, yeah. Needless to say, it didn't happen. By the end of it, the 4 days, moving, your feet, your body's in absolute clip. And the last checkpoint is, surprise, surprise, you're caught, and then you're fucking bag tag, all that good stuff that you've probably seen on the show, and then you moved into vans, and you moved off, helicoptered back to a facility that then, you move into the interrogation phase then, and it's kind of 36 hours of shits and giggles. And again, it's a pretty fucking miserable experience, really. I won't go into too much detail, obviously, but it's, a lot of screaming, a lot of shouting, a lot of stroking, a lot of, what the fuck's going on here, a lot of hallucinating. 36 hours is a long fucking time.
And you're so tired and depleted at that point.
I didn't realise how much I fucking didn't like myself. You're only in your own thoughts, aren't you? And there's nothing to do but to chat to yourself. And you're fucking, probably the best form of therapy.
I do it on a regular basis.
Worse, but yeah, it's, I can have a little chats with him and this guy over there and this, shut up, it's fucking, weird. So that kind of went on for 36 hours. And then, I remember just being spat out at the end, like, what the fuck's just happened? And then you go back to the camp and you sort of sort yourself out, probably the best sleep you'll ever have in your life. And then you're into the next stage, which is the CT, the counter-terrorism phase, domestic, the kind of Iranian embassy style, black rig, fucking MP5, flashbang, abseiling and all that fucking good shit that you see. And that goes on for 4, 5, 6 weeks, I can't remember. A lot of range work shooting. Again, there's that constant curve just being on there, and people are slipping off left, right and Chelsea at this stage. And I think, like I said...
people are still dropping out a lot.
Yeah.
After all that as well.
Through everything, through something as simple, you could be fucking nailing it, and you could be on the ranges in the jungle, and you just do one bone move, sweep someone with your rifle, and it's stop. Fucking, that's a big safety fail.
Yeah.
Like, put your weapon down, unload. That's you off the. Because you can't fuck about with that stuff. It's live ammunition. It's it's not blanks. It's not nerfs. And if you can't show them that you're proficient and understand the fucking drill, there's a way to do things and move. And if there's any doubt about your safety, you have minor safety safeties, warnings, where you might just encroach an arc, and it's like, oh, stop. That was fucking close, like that's a safety. If you do it again, you're off. And then you have like a major safety would be something like a negligent discharge, a Neil Diamond, or a fucking sweeping somebody, for instance, or doing something running across people while they're firing. If you're being bone as well, it's like, mate, are you stupid? You just run in front of someone.
Do you get a negligent discharge after being pulled off by the doctor?
Sometimes, yeah, that can happen, yeah.
Just asking for a friend.
I've got a funny story about that, actually. Not quite about that, but yeah.
I would say please tell us, but can't, because we will be here all day.
That's good.
I'm only on the first question.
I know I was in the Marines, yeah. Anyway, Fucking hell. Yeah, so yeah, obviously I'll try and fire through now, mate. I'm fucking waffle. I'm fucking great.
No, this is ace. I tell you what we need to do. We need to break this up. I think we keep going and then we do this as a part 1 and a part 2.
Good. So we cracked on,
We'll have a fucking mini box set.
We do all
2
that.
seasons on Amazon.
Fucking hell, yeah.
Guys, thanks for watching so far. Because Staz can talk more than I can, which we thought was impossible, we're going to make this 2 parts because this story's too good not to hear it all fully. So this has been the end of part 1, and then there'll be a part 2 coming up.